Welcome everybody. I'm going to be talking about the area model and how we use that for multiplication. So right now I have my multiplication chart, and right now I'm just going to outline the outside so that way it'd be easier to track as I'm going along. And which you don't have to do this, but I do like for the outside to be kind of like sticking out because you're going to use this to quickly grasp what you're doing. Alright, so first things first, here are the steps for area model multiplication. And it's like its name. Keep in mind we will be using the formula for area, which is A equals the length times the width. And your first step is to put the numbers in expanded form. Step 2, draw your rectangle. And in this drawing, you're going to set up the length, you're going to set up the width, and then you're also going to separate it. Wherever you see a plus sign, that's where you separate. And the third step is you should now have different sections, and in each section you're going to find all the areas, in which in some cases they're called partial products. And in the last step, you're going to add up all your areas. So these are the steps. And here we can always reach back and use our dump your brain chart, multiplication chart, to help us. Now, sometimes the area model might look very different because the expanded form, because numbers can be different depending on how big or small it is. So I'll just give you some examples. For example, if I say 69 times 23. Well, I know my first step is to expand the numbers. So I already know that 69 is 60 plus 9. And 23, we break that up. The bigger number I like to put on top, but you don't have to, but the bigger number goes on top, it's just the length, and the side is always the width. So 23 in expanded form will be 20 plus 3. And so I'm drawing my box, and wherever I see that plus, I go ahead and separate that. Now I find all my areas. Keep in mind we're doing A equals the length times your width. And as you can see here, I have 4 different areas because I split my rectangle into 4 different parts. So up top is my length. So the top of this section, the length is going to be 60. And the width for this section is going to be 20. And with this, it's going to be 3 because 3 is right next to it. Now, as you can see, my length on this side is going to be equal to 9. And my width for this row is 20. And my width for that row is 3. And now I just multiply it out and solve it. I know 6 times 2 is 12, and I stick my 2 zeros, and 60 as a 0, and 20 as a 0. That makes 2 zeros, and I stick them at the end. Next, I have 9 times 2, which is actually 18, and I just stick that extra 0 on the end. Here, 6 times 3 is 18, and I stick that extra 0 at the end, and 9 times 3 is 27. And my last step is I add it all up. So now that I found each area of the section, I just add it up. And I like to stack it up big to small, but you can also add them up in groups. You can add this side and add them up together. But I'm just going to stack up all the sides. So I go 1,200 plus I have 180. And then I also have 27. So 0 plus 0 plus 0 is 7. 8 plus 8 makes 16. Plus 2, which is going to be 18. And I carry my 1. Now, 2 plus 1 plus 1 is going to be 4. Plus 1 more is going to make it 5. And this one, I just bring it down. So that's an example. Let's do another example of a 2-digit by another 2-digit. Again, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes because you're going to have 4 different expanded forms. So let's do 56. 6 times 34. I already know I'm going to have 4 sections because I know that 56 can be broken up into 50 or expanded into 50 plus 6. And when you expand 34, it's going to end up being 30 plus 4. So each box is going to need a section. So I draw my line, I draw my box. I know my top is my length, my side is my width. And I know the formula that we're going to be using is A equals length times width because it's called the area model. And so I line up a bigger number on top, 50 plus 6. And then I go 30 plus 4. And I see that plus, I know where to separate it. And I just find my area for these 4 sections. Now you don't always have to write the formula. What I do is sometimes so you don't get confused with what's the top, what's the bottom. Well, I know all, if it's an L, if it's up top, that's my length. So I'm going to go ahead and write my length. 50 times 30, we're going to be here, the length is 6, the width is 30. Here, the length is 50, the width is 4, and the length here is 6, and the width is 4. So then I go ahead, and you just multiply the base numbers and stick your zeros at the end. 5 times 3 is 15, stick my 2 zeros at the end. 6 times 3 is 18, stick my 0 at the end. 5 times 4 is 20, and I stick that extra 0 at the end, and 6 times 4 is 24. And that last step, I add all my areas up. So I found out my area for this is 1,500, this is 180, this is 200, this is 24, and I just add up all those areas. So 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 1 makes 8, and another makes 9. And this one, I bring it down. So my answer to this is 1,904. And another thing, I want you to pay attention to the ones place. I already know 6 times 3 is 27. So therefore, the number in my ones place is going to have a 7. I know that 4 times 6 is 24. So my number in the ones place will have to be a 4. So now let's talk about some more area models. And sometimes the different size of the area model can throw people off. But don't worry. All we're doing, we're going to stick to those steps. We're going to use our dump your brain chart. And I'm even going to use the dump your brain chart so you see how it can be used. So let's say we're going to multiply 489 times 7. Now most of the time when you're multiplying with a bigger number, the number to the side is going to be just a 1 digit. And the 7, I know it's already in the expanded form because if you were to do 7 times the ones place, 7 times 1 is 7. It'll be the same number, 7. But I do know that 489 is going to be broken up to 400 plus 80 plus 9. And so I go ahead and I draw that line. And I stick my little 7 to the side because the top is the length, smaller number is the width. And I just separate it. You saw where I put my plus? So now I can do the base numbers 4 times 7. Now if you want to use your dump your brain, I would say, and let me get my free. I would say 4 times 7. So I would go to 7 and 4 and see where they both meet. And they both meet at 28. So I know my answer is 7 times 4 is 28. And I stick my 2 zeros at the end. Now, if I wanted to say the next one 8 times 7, well, I know, like I said, we're doing 8 plus length times width. Don't forget that. So you multiply your top, your length to the side. And I know this is going to end up being 80 times 7. This is going to end up being 9 times 7. And so I already know 8 times 7. I go to 8, find 7. and they both meet at 56. So I put 56 and I stick my 0 at the end. And 9 times 7, put a 9 and 7. And I can see that my answer is going to be 63. And my last step, I just added all up, 2,800. And already before I do this, I already know 7 times 9 is 63. So that means I'm going to have a 3 in my ones place. So let me go ahead and add this up. 160 and 63. And there is my answer. I'm going to do one more problem. And like I said, now you don't have to watch this video all at once. You can watch little by little, maybe 5 minutes a day. But I would advise, especially if your scholar is struggling, that you would definitely show them this. And if it was just, like I said, 5 minutes a day, I'm trying to make this video not too long. It's just so much that you have to explain. Let's do 6,284 times 6. Well, it's that one. Break that number in, that's right, expanded form. So I know expand 6,000 plus 200 plus 80 plus 4. The top is my length, side is my width, area model, formula, A equals length times width. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my line. In fact, I like to draw the bigger number up top, expand it, and then draw that line so I can make sure I draw the box perfectly under it, so it's easier for me to separate it just right. And you have to make sure that expanded number is perfectly fitted on top of the box. And so now the 6 goes to the side because it's already in expanded form. And I just know I'm going to look for my area. And it stays the same, that same equals length times width. This top of the side, that's all you're doing. I know this would be 6,000 times 6. This would be 200 times 6. This would be 80 times 6. This would be 4 times 6. So I know 6 times 6 is 36. And I stick my 1, 2, 3 zeros at the end. 2 times 6 is 12. And I stick my 2 zeros at the end. 8 times 6 is 48. And I stick my 0 at the end. And then 4 times 6 is 24. There's no 0, so I don't have to stick anything at the end. And then I just stack up my numbers and add it. 36,000 plus 1,200, 480, and 24. 4, 8 plus 2 is 10, carry the 1, 4 plus 6, 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 makes 7, 6 plus 1 is 7, and a 3, I bring it down. So my answer is 37,704, and like I said, you can tell by the number at ones place. If you were to multiply, you should 6 times 4 is 24, so you should at least have a 4 in the ones place. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps. Have a blessed day.